If you love $9 Monday and $2 Tuesday, you're really going to appreciate our new Throwback Thursday when all daily packages are slashed in half. Yes, you heard right at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. All Thursday daily packages are now 50% off. This means that a 4% package will be only $12.50. A 5% top-rated play, normally priced at $35, will be only $17.50. And the hottest sales item of the day, get a full day of access from the handicappers of your choice. That's one day of every applicable play they release, including any 5% best bets normally priced at $39 for only $19.50. The best part is you can come back every Thursday to take advantage of this limited time 50% off spring off.
Welcome everybody to WagerTalk Today. I am Lawrence Presman. I ran out of gel, so I went with the hat. He's Teddy Covers, and you're watching the best all sports daily betting show on the planet. Teddy, man, who is on? What are we talking about? As you can hear, I'm very excited, which I'll explain why in 2 seconds. Go ahead, my brother.
We're going to start off today's show with Steve Merril breaking down a couple in MLB for Thursday. We're going to talk Angels and Yankees and Dodgers versus the Cubs with Mr. Merril. Tony Finn's going to join us next. He's got one in MLB, Padres and the D-backs, and one in the NBA. He wants to talk about the Suns and the Clippers. Carmine Bianco is going to close out the show. He's going to talk every game on the board in the NHL playoffs for tonight, all 4 NHL playoff games. If we get 100 likes, we'll have a presidential address at the end of the show. And Lawrence, in today's BS report, we're going to talk power ratings / power rankings, how to start them, how to create them, and how to win with them. That's the show.
Sir.
Let's get into it.
Yes, sir. You're going to be doing the heavy lifting on the power rating segment, that's for sure. So, Teddy, 2 nights ago, I went 1-6. I had a rough go, man. I texted Carmine, and I was like, blah, blah, blah. I'm so upset. I mean, you were mocking me for the Leaf loss, but Carmine was giving me a nice shoulder to lean on. I'm like, 1-6. I can't handle this. I can't handle this. And Carmine responds with, that's the game we play. And you know what, dude? It really settled me. It was like, yes, I have chose this life. I will ride this roller coaster. 7-1 last night. Booyah! Won by 5%, won by 4%. I went 7-1 for my clients. I made a bunch of sales. Shout out to all of you guys who grabbed my package last night. And it just goes to show, my brother, that is the game we play. What a freaking roller coaster. Anything to add?
I went 3-0 last night. I got no complaints. Congrats.
Way to go.
Big night.
Way to go, dude.
From a rough day the day before. So let's see.
Yeah.
Look, last night's already rearview mirror, man. Let's keep it, see what we can do for tonight for our bankrolls and those of our clients.
Yes, sirree. Let's bring Steve Merril in. Steve, welcome to WagerTalk Today. And you will be hosting tomorrow. I won't be around, so thank you for that.
No worries. Looking forward to doing a little Friday show with Teddy Covers as we head into the weekend. So 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, Friday, Teddy and Steve.
Man, Teddy, it's unbelievable. 5 handicappers sitting at the top of the leaderboard in NBA. All of us separated by only 20 units. Marco, Ben Burns, Steve Merril, the Prez, and Teddy Covers. 3 of the 5 right here in this panel. Congratulations to both of you for an outstanding NBA season.
Thank you.
Okay,
And to you
shall
as well,
we get
Lawrence.
into it? Angels at Yankees, -160, a total of 8.5. Great catch by Aaron Judge last night. Robin Ohtani from a home run. And then, man, I don't know if you saw his home run, but it was one of those like out of the movie home runs. Yeah, that thing just never came down. How do we bet this game?
Yeah, it's fun. I don't watch a ton of regular season baseball, but I pick my spots, and obviously, maybe arguably the three best players in baseball in the field last night with Trout, Ohtani, and Aaron Judge, and it's a fun game to watch. And went to extra innings, and the Yankees, of course, had Aaron Judge hit a home run, as you said, Prez, grab a home run. Also, it's probably one of the few times in history that's ever happened. 3-2 final, and it was not a misleading, low-scoring game. Yankees had only 6 hits. Angels had only 7 hits. In fact, Yankees have gone 3-1 their last 4, and they've scored 3 runs or less in 3 of their last 4 games. And that's because their pitching's been off the charts good this year, but they're hitting single-digit hits now in 7 straight games. They've had 7 hits or less in 6 of their last 7. And now we have a quick turnaround. Now you could say, well, the bullpens might be a little fatigued, but they weren't taxed too much last night. It only went 1 extra inning. And we did see this total drop a bit from the opener, 8.5 to the under. It's now 8 to the over. Once again, 8 is not a very key number, though we talk about this a lot on the show, that 7 and 9 are your key numbers, because when a game goes to extra innings, for example, like last night, it was 2-2. It can't land on 4, right? It has to land on 5 or more. But I think the under is worth a look here in this game. 2 offenses have not been crushing the ball, even despite some of the star power in the lineups.
You worried all about the umpire stuff at this stage of the game? Will Little calling balls and strikes, and he's been a relatively high-scoring umpire this year. Is that something that you would worry about at all, Steve? And when we talk about umps calling balls and strikes, are there particular umps that you stay away from? And is Little one of them if you're playing unders?
Very little. I think back, Teddy, when you and I started like 20, 30 years ago, I think there's a little bit more of an edge to find with that stuff, but now it's readily available, as you know. You had to dig a little bit deeper back in the 90s to get the umpire data. This early in the season, I definitely, by the way, would not read too much into any stats this early in the season, because it's just a small sample size. It's less than a month. One thing that's interesting about the umps, though, obviously the strike zone hasn't changed, but we do have a lot of changes as far as the clock, hitter clock, pitcher clock, and some umps handle it differently. We saw the Oakland A's manager get ejected yesterday. Player gets injured, didn't really handle it well, didn't really tell the ump he was injured, but he didn't get back in the box. And, little things like that, some umps are going to handle differently. So I will keep an eye on the umpire data, but I'm not going to overreact or underreact this early in the season to it.
Steve Merril joining us, everybody, one of the best handicappers ever, and exclusive to WagerTalk.com. Steve, let's turn our attention to the Dodgers and the Cubs. And the Cubs are rolling, man. Winners of 4 in a row. They've won 7 of 9. They're hosting LA, 7:40 p.m. Eastern start. How do we bet this one?
Yeah, when I sent this over last night, there was no total, and that's because the game, of course, is in Wrigley, and we always check the weather report. But you don't even really have to check the weather report to probably know which way the wind is going when you see an 11 to the under posted in a National League park or any park days. So there should be a little assistance from the wind here today. We'll keep an eye on that. This is a 7 o'clock game, by the way, so we have some time to make sure directionals do not change. But the Cubs have been hitting the ball well. This is a team that had 11 hits in Oakland yesterday. They put up 12 runs. This is a team that had 10 runs and 20 hits in Oakland back on Monday. Now, granted, Oakland's the worst team in the league, but still, good offensive current form. You do worry about the quick return home here after the extended California trip against the Dodgers and A's. That is a concern for me here, and that's why we could see a little regression on the offense. Dodgers, meanwhile, are struggling, though. This is a team that I still think is as talented as anybody in baseball, but they're not hitting the ball well. They've gone just 1-3 their last 4. They've had single-digit hits now in 6 straight games. And obviously they faced Scherzer, but only for 3 innings. Scherzer, another guy, got ejected yesterday. Extreme sticky stuff on the hand, and he was irate. But they only had 5 hits overall and 3 runs in that game against the Mets. Dodgers also have to travel without rest after being home. And these teams just played recently, as I mentioned, last weekend. And the Cubs caught 2 out of 3 at L.A. Now they're back home. I think this is a live short favorite here tonight. I'd lean towards the over just based on the offensive potential from both teams, but it is a big total. We got to keep an eye on that wind. By the way, Ralph Michaels' great stat yesterday. It was the first time the Dodgers had been a home dog in 6 seasons, I believe. No other team had that long of a stretch in a long time. Dodgers lost that game to the Mets. They're not in good current form, and it might look weird to see them as a slight dog once again, but I think it's for good reason. I'd lean Chicago here minus $1.15.
Yeah, on that tweet Ralph sent out yesterday, at least every other MLB team had been a home dog 10 times. Wow. That's the last time the Dodgers had been a home dog in nearly 6 years. I want to ask you about this concept, and it's just a concept, yet but I was thinking about it. In the NFL, when a team beats up on a patsy, a lot of times the next week they're overvalued. You find a team that everyone's crushing, and then the point spread, the next week they're laying a little bit too much, and they're not necessarily a great point spread team. Chicago just beat the worst team in baseball, the Oakland A's. They destroyed them. Could the Cubs be an overvalued commodity? Are teams after beating up on Oakland an overvalued commodity moving, in their next series or their first game after beating the A's? It's just too easy to beat Oakland right now. And all of a sudden you play a real team and it gets a little bit tougher. Do you worry about that at all for the Chicago Cubs after, annihilating the A's over the last few days?
No, Teddy, I think it's a good point, and I think that's actually one of the keys to winning handicapping long-term in any sport. We always talk about the point spread is based on basically what has happened and what's expected to happen, the way you beat the point spread. And obviously in baseball, it's money line, but same concept is to try to find where there's maybe something, that's a little misleading one way or the other. And I do think, although obviously strength of schedule is factored in baseball, you probably don't do it on a daily basis. And obviously the A's are really bad. So as I said earlier, putting up, 36 runs on, I think it was like 39 hits against Oakland in 3 games. You do have to factor in a little bit that they're a terrible team. With that said, though, that's still pretty good offensive momentum. My bigger concern here really is the fact Chicago's returning home without rest, and they are taking a step up in class. And they also just handled the Dodgers 2 out of 3 games, So the question for me in this game is, does LA wake up? But I'm not so sure LA flips a switch even after losing to Chicago. And especially after coming off a huge series against the Mets and Scherzer yesterday, I think both teams could be a little flat. If that's the case, I'd rather have Chicago, who's in better current form.
Steve, you always come on the show with a promo. That is one of the reasons we love you at Wager Talk. What do you got going for the clients, and what is the promo today?
I know you love promos, Prez, and I also know you love your sleep, and I don't want to keep you up at night. And I know you've been asking yourself, do you get my number 1 ranked NBA for 2023? Do you get my number 1 ranked MLB for 2023? MLB, dude, by the way, 73% winners this year. I know. Well, I've solved your insomnia. I've solved one of your many problems here with this promo.
I woke up 4:15 last night. I woke up in a cold sweat going, how do I get Steve Merril's plays, man? So thank you.
Right. See, normally it's 179 for a month of for NBA, 179 for a month of MLB. Number 1 this year in MLB, 73% winners. Number 1 in 2023, up 66.5 units in the NBA. You don't have to decide. You get them both for just $20 more with promo code SM30PASS. Instead of $299, you instantly get the price down $100 to just $199. So you get 30 days and nights of my number 1 ranked NBA and my number 1 ranked MLB for just $199 with promo code SM30PASS. Full details on my page right now, along with free plays daily. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
There you go, Steve Merril. Teddy, one thing about Steve, hey, he's like the opposite of Adam Trigger. Adam Trigger is the youngest, same. He's the youngest looking old guy. Steve's the oldest looking young guy. That's not true. Steve's the youngest looking old guy too. Dude, enough. It's a hit and miss thing, When I'm the one doing stand-up comedy every day for 45 minutes, it's hit and miss, bro. Hit and miss. Anyway, Steve Merril, everybody, make sure to take advantage of how freaking good he is. Brother, what did we learn in the wonderful world of sports betting?
I want to talk about the NFL draft betting marketplace, which is heating up right now. And people ask, why don't you put out plays for the clients for the NFL draft? This is why. The market moves are huge. There's no buyback. So literally, if you don't get the bet down immediately, not only is it lost, it's useless. Look at some of the moves over the course of the last week or two to go at number 1 overall. Bryce Young was an underdog. He was minus 275 last week. He's minus 2,000 now. You missed it. All right. The number 2 overall pick, Will Anderson, plus 150. He was plus 350 last week. Will Levis was plus 300. He was plus 2,000 last week. CJ Stroud was minus 150 last week. He's plus 50 now. Tyree Wilson was plus 2,000 last week. He's plus 350 now. Huge moves for all of these. Number 3 of overall picks. Stroud's plus 200 now. He was plus 600 last week. Tyree Wilson was plus 500. Was 2,500 last week. First defensive player selected. Tyree Wilson was plus 550 last week. Now he's plus 225. First tight end selected. Michael Meyer was plus 250 last week. Now he's minus 170 over Dalton Kincaid. And on down the line. First offensive lineman selection. We're seeing a bunch of money for Darnell Wright in that. He was 1,600. Now he's 650. We can go the player draft position order. Big move for Joey Porter Jr. He's going down. Peter Skoronski's going up. Big 12. Last week was 3.5 players drafted in round 1. Now it's 4.5 players drafted in round 1. These are significant moves. And the NFL draft betting marketplace is a loss leader for many sports books. If you're paying attention and betting it right when the info's coming out, you got a chance. If you're 6 hours behind, if you're 12 hours behind, if you're a day behind, really hard to bet this stuff. The markets move really, really quickly as soon as the information is out there. So that's what I learned last night, Lawrence. NFL draft.
Teddy covers.
Yes.
Guys, if you like the if you like the show, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to our channel and please put comments up afterwards. I feel like, we're all in this together. I mean, Christopher, Ski, Prophet in the chat room, RJ, my man, Daniel's son, Deep Fry, Danny, Big Daddy, Abid. Come on, guys. Put up a comment after the video goes up, please. We're all a team. Chip, we love you, Chip. So that would be greatly appreciated. So, Teddy, at the beginning of the show, I thanked a lot of everybody for buying my package. And yes, for grabbing my package. That was the key phrase, grabbing my package. One of the guys in the chat room pointed out that, well, it's not a good image, but I got this text from Andrew McGinnis. Shout out to all the guys that grabbed my package. What a start to Wager Talk Today, and then a whole lot of laughing emojis. And then he pointed out that he'd like guys to grab his package tonight. So anybody in Halifax who wants to grab Andrew McGinnis's package, I will give you his direct home address later on in the show. For the rest of you, he has a 5% play up tonight. It has been presidentially approved. I've seen the play. Please grab his package too. He feels left out. He needs some package grabbing. Teddy, it is 420 today. For me, 420.
Oh, I think you're
free.
All right.
Oh, yeah, I'm back.
Okay. I
so I was
he was
saying
frozen or I was frozen.
Yeah, it's 420 today. You and I have lived 420. I mean, it could be March 17th, 420. December 3rd, 420. Tony Finn is Mr. 420. Look, I mean, it just does not get cooler than that picture. Tony Finn, have you already begun?
What?
Yeah, it's 420, genius.
I'm old and behind the times, and my technology and maneuvering of such, navigating of such slow. So 420, I'm not sure what 420, I mean, April 20th, is that what we're talking about?
Tony, the San Diego Padres.
Smoking a joint that we just put up, dude.
I'm not bad. Oh, okay. Whatever you guys say, I like it. It's true. Okay. Absolutely true. Yeah.
Tony, we freaking love you, bro.
The picture's better than the face. Yeah. There it is. Yeah. Take a look, Tony. Look at your screen.
I will take a look. I'll take a look when I can figure out which of my 10 screens.
I'd like to point out something about that picture. I've never seen anyone smoke a joint underhanded. Like that's like
yeah, he's holding it backwards.
You're holding the joint in a very strange manner there, Tony. Is that your technique?
Well, by the time you see look at those eyes, see that hair. By that time I reach that point, I have no idea what technique even means, yet alone what it is. So I'm happy. Can you not see I'm happy there?
Yeah. That is a very, very valid point, brother. Let's get into it, man. San Diego Padres at the Arizona Diamondbacks. Arizona plus 125, a total in this game of 9.5. How should we bet this one?
Well, it's really nice to see somebody on top of the NL West other than the Dodgers or San Diego. However, I think everyone knows, including the front office for the Arizona Diamondbacks, that this is a season that's going to be a building season. Listen, they have some really good young talent there, some speed, kind of some old-time baseball. In truth, it's the Diamondbacks that have much power. They don't strike out much, but they're hard contact. Let's put it this way. This is a pedestrian. They're playing young, a pedestrian team that's in first place. Won't be for long. The matchup tonight is a rookie for the Diamondbacks who, believe it or not, if there's any team, pardon me, any team, any lineup that's seen Ryan Nelson, who's starting for Arizona tonight, more than anybody else, it's San Diego. His 3 turns last year, 2 of them were against San Diego. Already seen him this year. And this lineup, when he did have his rookie debut, he's really pretty good against San Diego, but no one's seen him. It was a time and period when San Diego was really kind of struggling, scuffling to be a part of that wild card picture last year. Like Nelson, like him, like his future, but 4-pitch pitcher with no put-out pitch, and with some excitement in San Diego, as you all know, and probably have discussed. If you haven't, you will, with Tatis and that return. Really like the inconsistent Walker tonight, who wasn't very good last time out, but it's a good matchup for him, a good matchup for San Diego, and at a fair price. Not a fair price, but I think an accurate price too.
Teddy?
So the Padres sort of stink right now, don't they? I mean, they can't hit. They really can't. I mean, they have they scored 2 runs in 4 games during their current homestand. They had the 10-run outburst against Milwaukee and scored 2, 3, 2, 4, and 0 the 5 games before that. Do we trust the Padres hit anyone right now? Real quick.
Yeah, I trust. Listen, if you look at that lineup, Teddy, I'm not one that panics or exaggerates this early in the season. Who's going to be what, or look what they are now. I mean, I like this lineup. I'm not that concerned with this Padres team hitting the ball over the course of the season, yet alone tonight against a kid they've already seen. My concerns more are a couple pieces of rotation. So I like the Padres, like this lineup. They're stacked. They've spent the money, guys. Put pieces in places. So it's not really a question of how good are they going to be tonight. They're going to be good by the end of the season. They'll be in the playoffs. And tonight, I just think the matchups it's a really good spot for this San Diego team, and not a very good spot for Ryan Nelson.
Tony Finn joining us, everyone. You can find him at WagerTalk.com. Awesome handicapper, really great in baseball. Check him out. Tony, NBA tonight, 3 games on tap. You want to talk Phoenix and the LA Clippers? I have a series bet on the LA Clippers plus 1.5. Kind of was hoping they got game 2, but at least they got one of them. Now they're plus 3 at home. The total is 226.5. How do we bet this game?
Well, I have nothing really. I'm not vested very hard and heavy into this series. This was one of the series that my metrics and at least my assessment was that I believed if there was a couple teams in first round that could execute a sweep, I thought one of them would be the Suns. That went out the window, obviously, in game 1. But I thought you saw more of what you're going to see from the Suns in game 2. I thought things evened out. The Clippers didn't shoot quite as well as they did in first game. And without Paul, George, and Ringo, I just think this Clippers team is they're really suspect as far as being able to compete as far as scoring points with Suns. And I thought you saw that in game 2. I thought every single game, Prez and Teddy, every single game that goes by, the Suns team should, and I believe they will, get better. Durant will know where his teammates are. His teammates will know where he is, where KD is. And I think Booker's if you're a prop player, I think Booker's just a great spot. You saw that in game 2. When they double that sag defense of this Clippers didn't work in game 1, didn't work in game 2. They're going to have to make some adjustments. I'm not sure they can make those adjustments without Paul George.
Excellent stuff. Tony Finn, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Tony, what do you have to promote?
I've been the baseball started out kind of hot and cold, but the Dead Presidents report's been really good. 47 units on those 6 reports I've had. I have one tonight, and then I have an NBA All Access report, covers all the games tonight. You can get it only at WagerTalk.
Awesome stuff, Tony Finn. Teddy covers. I absolutely love the segment. You know, we're getting a lot of real positive feedback for BS with Teddy and the Prez. We have graphics coming next week. I think Dan is writing an original score for this segment. Dan, original score, please. Teddy, before we get into today's segment, I got to tell everybody, guys, this segment is only as good as the questions you ask. Please, in the comment section after we put these videos up, ask Teddy and I anything you want. Should you do an NBA teaser? You know, I know a lot of people want to speak in-game betting, and we will get there. We've got all summer to do this segment, but we need your questions. Today, we're going to turn our attention to a question asked by Weston King. How to make power rankings would be a great concept. Making your own lines seem like what most professional bettors do. Teddy, I'm really going to hand the segment over to you. All of us have different handicapping styles. I do not make my own power rankings when handicapping, and I know you do. So I'm going to kick back and listen to the expert.
I'm going to talk about power rankings versus power ratings, because this appears to be a pretty big misinterpretation or misunderstanding. Power rankings, you're going to rank teams, 1 through 30 or 1 through 32, depending on whatever sport it is. It's a linear, it's a line, it's a straight line. It's not how you make a point spread. Power ratings is much more like a bell curve. It goes whoop with most of the teams in the middle and a few outlier teams on each end. That tends to look a lot more like power ratings as opposed to power rankings. Now, great question, Weston. I'm going to talk about this for point spread sports. If you're just starting to make power ratings, when you start to get into money line sports, it's much more difficult. So let's just start with football and basketball, your standard point spread sports, because it's easier. Start any day. You start today if you want to start making power ratings. This is how I started. I got 3 sets of ratings. Gold Sheet has one. Good set of power ratings. Find 2 others. There are many out there. Power ratings, not power rankings. Okay? Power ratings. Because you want the formula to be bell curve-like, not linear. Find 3 sets of ratings, merge them into one. Do it manually. Do it however you want to do it. I use Gold Sheet for one of them. And then start adjusting. That's literally how you start making power ratings. You start with some numbers. You find some numbers. You find some market numbers. And you adjust. And you adjust them every night. Box scores, algorithm if you want. And then you start making point spreads and or totals for every game. First year is going to be a learning process. Really is. Second year, they might be useful. And it's easy to test. You just play your power rating value games on paper for a few weeks. They're winning or losing, If they're winning, your power rating experiment is officially useful, and keep doing what you're doing. That's how you make power rating. That's how to start. All right. Find a couple sets, start with some market numbers, adjust to make them your own. The more you do it, the longer you do it, the better you'll get at it. Good question, Weston. Hopefully I answered it reasonably. Lawrence?
Teddy covers, yeah, awesome stuff. How many people, if you have 20 handicappers, 30 handicappers, how many guys you think use power ratings, rankings? You think it's most common?
I have no idea how many cappers make their own numbers versus how many cappers look at the market numbers and go, that number feels off. I make my own numbers for all the point spread sports.
And you do that. Do you do that across every sport? I know you do it in the NFL.
For the point spread numbers. For the point spread sports, I make my own numbers. For the money line sports, and again, not like there aren't money lines in basketball and football, but the money line is a direct correlation to what the point spread. In MLB, I do less of that. I do a lot of, I'm not expecting, there are times that numbers jump at me, but I'm not spending the time each day to adjust the team power rating and the pitcher power rating and then adjust for players who are in and out. That's just not the way I've handicapped baseball. In my mind, it's doable, but it's more time consuming than I look to do it this time.
What a show so far. We got Carmine Bianco still to come. We're going to talk every NHL game on the board. We are 2 likes away from a daily presidential address. Let's take a quick commercial break, have a drink, join 420 gang, and we'll be right back.
If you love $9 Monday and $2 Tuesday, you're really going to appreciate our new Throwback Thursday when all daily packages are slashed in half. Yes, you heard right. At both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, all Thursday daily packages are now 50% off. This means that a 4% package will be only $12.50. A 5% top-rated play, normally priced at $35, will be only $17.50. And the hottest sales item of the day, get a full day of access from the handicappers of your choice. That's 1 day of every applicable play they release, including any 5% best bets, normally priced at $39, for only $19.50. The best part is you can come back every Thursday to take advantage of this limited time 50% off spring off.
We're back. Brian S. writes, Prez, wake and bake confirmed. I haven't woken boke in a decade, but I was a professional. I mean, I was one of those guys that would set my alarm 3 hours before I wake up just so that I can run outside and then go back to bed. You knew me, Teddy. I was a hardcore pro. 420 was every day of my life, but it's been about 10 years since I have puffed on a joint. Long live edibles. Go Leafs! Shall we bring Carmine in?
Yeah. Yes, but you're saying 10 years since you wake to bake. You had edible first thing in the morning.
No.
You're not waking and baking per se, but you've had edibles early on in the day during the last 10 years at some point.
Yes. So in Whistler, the last 10 days, I was off my rocker while skiing every day.
So it's wake and bake. Even though you're not smoking it, you're eating it. Yes.
Sleep and eat.
What is Carmine?
Sleep and eat? Whatever Carmine thinks I'm in. How are you, Carm?
Doing great. Great segment there, Teddy. I really like that power rankings segment there.
Yeah. Do you do power rankings, Carm?
For soccer, I do. Hockey, I don't. But hockey is for me is just, and we're going to talk about it today with some of these games, is because I watch a ton of it, much like you do. Is not being, not overreacting to results, not being very reactionary, and taking each game as a single independent unit.
Well, let's get straight into it. First off, dude, your NHL season is absolutely ridiculous. You're up 115 units of profit in the NHL. No handicapper went over 100 units in college basketball. No handicapper went over 100 units in NBA. You are the only handicapper that has gotten over the century mark in any sport in the last little while, and it is in hockey. Way to go, man. 5-1 last night. You are seeing it great.
Yeah, no, and listen, it's a lot of ebbs and flows, but for the most part, it's been a fantastic season. I started slow. October, I was down 27 units in October, and the first 10 days of January were a disaster. I was down 30 units, so that's like 57 units, and I'm at 115. So those obviously, it just leads to the fact of buying like a long-term package, because there's going to be some bumps along the road, kind of like you going 1-6 and then having a 7-1 night. Judge a person on the whole season as to on one individual day or a week, let's say.
Yeah. Well, my 1-6 night, followed by my 7-1 night, really demonstrates what Teddy's been saying for months and months, and same with Marco, and that is buy long-term packages. Join the roller coaster with us because it will end up being a positive experience. And just to clarify, because Teddy did point out that he's up 172 units in NBA, it's over 100 units of profit on the current season. So again, Carm, congratulations, brother. Okay, so
Thanks. Some guy
let's
called
turn
me.
our-
Some guy called me part igloo in the live chat. I've got ice running through my veins. I kind of like that comment. It
Okay,
seems like it
Mr.
snows
Igloo.
here 10 months a year, so I'll
Except
take the part
I know
igloo.
you very well. You're coming over tonight to watch the Leaf game. And one thing you do not have is ice in your veins. You have lava running through you, and your warmth emanates to everyone around. Okay. Kumbaya, my lord. Carm, the Leafs have to win tonight. Period. End of story. It is minus 170. There has been a shit ton of money bet on the Leafs. The total has been bet up as well. 6.5s out there and some 6s. What do we do in this game? I'm staying away, man. I just want to cheer like a fan tonight, and then get Teddy texting me about how I lost.
There's nothing wrong with being a fanboy of a team and just not having action on them. With regards to the game, a lot of people look at that first game and they see 7-3 Tampa and they ran all over the Leafs. And as I mentioned after that game, the next day on Puck Time, is I just believe the Leafs were outcoached in that game and outplayed on the ice. The second last game of the season, Toronto went to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay threw the body around. They hit every single Leaf on the ice. And I think maybe the Leafs thought that that's the way this series was going to play, that Tampa was setting them up for how this season, that series was going to be. And Toronto went out there and they were physical in game one. And what Tampa did was Tampa played their normal game. They weren't as physical. They found a lot of open space while the Leafs were against the boards throwing body checks, and they scored goals at will. You have to draw a line through that and through that game and just say, for the Leafs, let's get back to square one. What we were expecting to do in game one, let's do it in game two. Let's remember this series last year went 7 games. Game 1 and game 5 were the only low-scoring games. 5-0 for the Leafs. Tampa bounced back and won the second game in Toronto 5-3, or I think 5-2. And then the final game was 2-1. Every other game, games 2 through game 6, were high-scoring games in a playoff where we didn't see a lot of goals. We saw a lot of goals in that series. Now, that's why I think this line, and rightfully so, has gone from 6 to 6.5. I played it yesterday at 6 when the numbers were out. And I think it's still at 6.5. It is a play. I believe we're gonna see a much better game from the Leafs tonight. They have to play better. They can't go back to Tampa down 2-0. And with that said, I think we're gonna see some goals in the first period. So I mentioned this earlier. Take the over 1.5 in the first period, minus 140. I'm pretty sure we're gonna see some goals in this first period and some goals overall in this game.
So Andrew McInnes was on Wager Talk today on Tuesday. And him and Lawrence were breaking down the Rangers and the Devils. And basically saying the Devils sure look like false favorites. That team's really, really young. And they're going to struggle in game one. And boy, it played out exactly like both Lawrence and Andrew expected, with the Devils looking like a really young team and getting slapped around at home. Well, they're minus 130, minus 135 to bounce back tonight. Total sitting at 5.5, a little bit of juice to the over. Or not so much.
I think they do. This is one series, much like the Dallas series that played out yesterday, where I talked about I would take the team that lost in game one. I would take them in game two, and that only applies, as far as I'm concerned, for a series that I think is going to go 6 or 7 games, because you'll see a lot of that zigzag stuff. And don't make zigzag part of your betting practice.
Yeah.
It is just something you talk about in bars with your friends. But we see it. We saw it in the Toronto series last year with Tampa. I think we're going to see it in this series. Both teams are capable of winning on the road, and this is why I think this series is going to go 6 or 7 games. I think the the fact that, New Jersey not being in the playoffs for a while, a lot of the guys on that team getting that first taste of it, I think they were ripe for the picking, and they got picked apart by the Rangers. The Rangers are a very good team. They made that run last year to the conference finals. They've got one of the best goalies, if not the best goalie, in Shesterkin as well too. And but you're getting the Devils at the exact same price that they were in Game 1. And I like the fact that they haven't gone up in juice. Dallas, it was a different story with Dallas yesterday, and they ran all over Minnesota in that game to even up that series. I think the Devils even up the series, and you're getting at 135. I like the price and the Devils tonight.
Carmine Bianco joining us, everyone. Our number one most profitable expert in NHL this season, and a better freaking human being. Carm, yesterday we saw 3 teams tie the series up. Florida went into Boston, won, but 2 of those teams were home teams that lost their first game. Edmonton Oilers pulled it out. So did Dallas. Tonight we have a similar situation, obviously, with the Leafs, New Jersey, and this team, the Colorado Avalanche. Real surprise, Seattle came out flying and won that game in Game 1. I really thought this was a bit of a mismatch. Clearly it is not. Maybe we got a 7-game series here. Who knows? But what we do know is Colorado needs to win this game. How do we bet it?
They do need to win this game. Obviously, Stanley Cup champions. You wouldn't think they would lose their first game to a team that's only been in the league for a couple of years and making their playoff appearance for the first time. But Seattle's played Colorado tough all year long. They've played 3 games during the regular season, 1 now in the playoffs. Every single game has gone under the total, and I would believe it's going to play out the same way tonight. I think Seattle aren't going to look at the sort of the Marco D'Angelo fat and sassy kind of angle that they got to split and let's get back home. They're going to play another tight defensive game and try and keep the big guns for Colorado at bay here. I think Colorado eventually gets the money here and gets the win, but I can't lay that price. Minus 220, minus 230, wherever it's at right now. Even regulation is always a dicey play. The world was on Edmonton yesterday in regulation. I think the world is going to be on Colorado in regulation, and I don't blame them for it. I think you can always find a play within a game that offers maybe a little bit better value. And I think that is the Seattle team total under 2.5 goals, minus 135. I think Colorado is going to get this game. I don't want to pay the price. And it's going to be another low scoring game. Every single game has yet to get the 5, I believe, in this series, the 4 games that they've played this season. So I'm going to take the under Seattle team total, under 2.5 goals in this one, minus 135.
So Brian and Marco are both season ticket holders for the Vegas Golden Knights, and both of them came on this show and said they thought the Knights were too cheap against Winnipeg for the series, and that Vegas, as short favorites, they deserve to be bigger favorites. And they got annihilated in Game 1, and now you can get Vegas at a plus price for the series. I'm playing in the plus 120 range. You can find plus 130 if you shop around. Yet they're still favorites tonight, and they're taking money against Winnipeg. Do you like Vegas to bounce back tonight, or is the peg going to go up 2-0?
Yeah, this is Teddy. This is another one of those reactionary games. I think a lot of people look at it. Vegas Golden Knights, number 1 seed in the West. They lost Game 1. They've got to win Game 2, and it's a recipe. I think it's a recipe for disaster for your bankroll long term. If you don't at least do some research on the game, and you just play it based off of the results of the game. This is a series where everyone expected Vegas to win. I actually released for my clients the Winnipeg Jets plus 1.5 games in this series, so I feel good about them winning Game 1. And they've been playing playoff hockey for the last 2 weeks of the season, trying to get a wild card spot. They didn't take any nights off. They've been playing extremely well, and the money's coming in on Vegas, and rightfully so. But at some price, at some point, if Vegas hits minus 170, minus 175, and I can get Winnipeg at plus 150, I'm going to take them. They're going to play their typical road game where they play a tight defensive game. All the pressure is on Vegas, which makes it even that more tough for the Golden Knights. And Hellebuck has been great in net for this team. They have weapons on this team, but people just look at Winnipeg and think, here's a team from the middle of nowhere in Canada, and they're playing against the number 1 seed. Vegas is an auto bet. I believe if you auto bet, um, you could lose money. I actually like Winnipeg in this game to win the second
Yeah.
game. It is an unpopular position with all of the people who are on the Vegas Golden Knights. But if you give me plus 150, and I think it could get there, some of the books on our Wager Talk live lines, I believe the Westgate has them at plus 150. That I would take the plus 150 because it is going to be another low scoring game. It's not going to be like that Dallas game yesterday. I just don't see it happening. I think it's going to be a tight one throughout. And if it gets to overtime, I've got a team plus 150 in what essentially is a coin flip in OT.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you anymore. Well said, well done. Carmine, what do you got to promote?
So 3 plays up today in Europa League soccer. Those go off at 3 p.m. 4 plays right now in the NHL. 2 plays, 2 props. 5-1 last night in the NHL. 93 start to the playoffs. So it's been a great season and playoffs thus far. Cup 50 promo code that'll get you $50 off the rest of the NHL playoffs, which is $219. You can drop that down to $169 and get all plays right through to the Cup final for $169, which is a great deal in itself.
Carmine Bianco. Teddy Covers, I forgot to mention at the top of the show, it's Throwback Thursday. Everybody's package is half price. Yes, guys, I said package again. Anyway, everybody's package is half price. What do you have going for the clients tonight?
I thought you were going to say your package is half off. That being said, as of the moment, I have a single best bet on NBA available for this evening. I'm still contemplating the MLB card. I may end up passing. But the one best bet available, 4% winner in NBA action on Throwback Thursday. You can get that for what? $12.50 right now over WagerTalk or sportsmemo.com.
Nice. Guys, I've got 2 NHL plays up for you guys. I have 2 baseball plays and 1 NBA play. I have a 5-pack. $9.50 over at WagerTalk. $9.50. I expect hundreds of sales. I went 7-1 yesterday. Join me, boys. A run has begun. Teddy, we're way over 100 likes. Daniel's son, cue it up. All right, it's time for your daily presidential address. And as I just told you guys, I got a 5-pack of bets going tonight. It's only $9.50 over at Wager Talk. Teddy's got an NBA bet going up tonight. It is a half price as well over at Wager Talk. So take advantage of that. Everybody's package at Wager Talk on Thursdays is half price. I went 7-1 last night, and I'm still basking in it. I had a great night last night. But nothing is more important to me than the Leafs winning, and that's where we're going to start. I have a bet for you guys. I'm betting all these plays that I'm giving out. Listen, I do money line parlays every now and again. I had one yesterday in baseball on Tampa Bay and St. Louis at 1. I like Toronto tonight and Colorado. Toronto's minus 170, Colorado minus 225. You parlay that together, you bring it down to close to a pick'em. So Toronto and Colorado as a parlay. I also like the under in the Winnipeg Vegas game, under 5.5. It almost made a client release. Just that last game went over, and it just pissed me off. I had the under. My only loss last night was the under in the Islanders game. And man, I'm like, these 5.5 scare me. So I am going to bet the play. It was almost a release. Take the under in Winnipeg and Vegas. Teddy, what do you got for our listeners?
Ride the hot, fade the cold. That's the Pittsburgh Pirates right now. Pittsburgh, number 2 in MLB in profitability. They're tearing the cover off the ball with their bats. I think they're worthy of a wager. A little bit too high for the clients. That's why it's here. But minus 165, I think is very reasonable with Pittsburgh in the game. I expect them to win.
Awesome stuff. That's the show. Steve Merril hosting tomorrow. I'll see you Monday. Teddy covers. Take us home.
Enjoy the games and best of luck with your wagers. We'll see you guys on Wager Talk Today tomorrow. Same time, same channel. Cheers.
If you love $9 Monday and $2 Tuesday, you're really going to appreciate our new Throwback Thursday when all daily packages are slashed in half. Yes, you heard right. At both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, all Thursday daily packages are now 50% off. This means that a 4% package will be only $12.50. A 5% top-rated play, normally priced at $35, will be only $17.50. And the hottest sales item of the day, get a full day of access from the handicappers of your choice. That's one day of every applicable play they release, including any 5% best bets, normally priced at $39, for only $19.50. The best part is you can come back every Thursday to take advantage of this limited time 50% off spring offer.